I would like to welcome to the SPS Check-In, Vinit Asar, President and CEO of Hanger Inc. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time. I'm really excited to talk with you about Hanger's recent pledge on diversity and inclusion. As I was doing some of my research on this, I actually pulled together some definitions that helped me as I thought through this. What I read was that diversity really means understanding each individual is unique and recognizing the differences, whether it be race, ethnicity, gender, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, age, physical abilities, cultural, political, religious, and other affiliations. But what I thought was really interesting is that it really is the lens in which we perceive our life experiences. So I think I was very surprised that diversity really is a much wider scope than I ever recognized.
First of all, thanks for bringing this topic to the forefront in this forum. I think it's such an important topic, and I'm excited that SPS is going to bring this to the forefront. But the way I look at diversity is it's actually at the Hanger leadership team. We have 9 members. If all 9 members looked like me, talked like me, thought like me, had the same experiences as I did, then there would be no need for 8 out of the 9 people. And that's how I look at it.
It's interesting. The inclusion part is used to describe the active, intentional, and ongoing engagement and integration with diverse individuals. So how do you perceive, inclusion within the pledge for Hanger?
Regina, from my perspective, the inclusion is almost more important than the diversity aspect, because, we have to make sure that we are including various thoughts, various backgrounds, various experiences, and we have to be proactive about it. We have to go out and bring people into the dialogue. We have to go out and engage people into the thought process. So in my mind, inclusion is almost more important than diversity. And that's why when we think of it, we don't think of just diversity or just inclusion. We think of them together. Diversity and inclusion is very important together.
Right. I've benefited from a number of initiatives that have been in place for some time regarding women in leadership. Lots of different classes that really bring to light the advantages of having women in leadership. Can you tell me what prompted this specific diversity and inclusion pledge?
Sure. First of all, I'm really proud of the pledge because from my perspective, this pledge has emanated from every level in the Hanger and SPS organization. So this isn't just something we penned out and we said, okay, everyone's got to follow it. I firmly believe this has emanated from within the organization. So I'm really proud to be able to represent that pledge. But look, I think it was maybe 8 or 9 years ago. It was clear to me and the team that the representation from a gender basis was way more, males were way more pervasive in leadership ranks within O&P, and women were very underrepresented, even though the graduating classes from O&P schools were more, at that time, maybe 30-40% women. Today, as we know, 50-60% of the graduating classes are women. So, this was about 7-8 years ago, is when we sat down, we said, wait a minute, we have to put in efforts to get women in leadership more of a focus. And I'm glad we were able to do that. Now, fast forward in the last couple of years, it became even more evident that the diversity from a race perspective was an area that we had not focused on as an industry. And I'm going to say the healthcare industry in general. But when you look at the O&P industry, I think less than 2% of the graduating classes are Blacks, as an example. Yet, we know that the patient population is way more represented by the African American and the Black community than our clinicians. We have to do something to make sure that we make meaningful progress on the representation of diversity. And being the industry leader, I wanted to do more than just put out a statement. Anybody can put out a statement. I wanted to put out a pledge for tangible actions to make meaningful change. And I'm hopeful that the rest of the O&P industry takes that as a rallying cry from a company like Hanger and SPS.
Looking at the pledge, there are 5 specific callouts in the pledge. Can you tell me about each one of those and how you see Hanger taking the lead here
Sure. Look, in no particular order, but clearly one of the things that we all know in O&P, all of us that have been in O&P, whether we're clinicians or business people in O&P, we all know that there's like a disproportionate impact to Blacks when it comes to amputation level. We also know that, diabetes affects Hispanics and Blacks more than it does, the rest of the community. We know those things, but we haven't studied them. We are in a unique position that we can study that and come up with actual tangible data that we can share with the community so we can create awareness and action plans beyond that. And I'm not talking about 3, 5, 7 years from now. We plan on beginning that work this year in 2020. We're also committed to attracting more diverse candidates into the O&P community. I'm done with the excuse that there's only 2% Blacks that are in O&P schools, so we can't do much in the O&P community. I believe that Hanger is in a unique leadership position to actually get into the high school communities and create awareness so we can attract more people into the schools. So we've actually sent out letters to most or all of the O&P schools to see if we can partner with them. I've also created a diversity and inclusion council that I'm chairing, and there's 14 of us on that council. I'm really happy that you're on that council as well. And as you know, we discuss some very meaningful issues in terms of priorities. What should Hanger be doing? We've conducted unconscious bias training across our leadership ranks, and we plan on making sure that permeates down for everyone at Hanger. And then last but not the least, affinity groups. I think it's really important that, a company like ours and even a community like ours has affinity groups where whether it's someone from the LGBTQ community can, interact with a broader group, whether it's veterans that can interact with a broader group, whether it's, people of color. So we've created these affinity groups at Hanger that are seeing enormous participation as well. So those are the things that we've pledged to do, and I can assure you we're moving forward, and we're hoping all the O&P companies, join this movement. I'm talking about even the larger companies, the manufacturers. I'm hopeful that we'll see some movement from everybody.
Right. I was surprised by the number of our employees who contacted me and said, hey, I really want to be part of this. I was just like, I think that we can make that happen. I think that we're going to be rotating people on and off the council. I really see this, as being beneficial, not just to this organization, but outside of the walls of this organization, and really feel like this is a unique time in O&P history that I'm really excited about.
Same here, Regina. Well said. I do believe that I think the O&P community also is ready to evolve, just like Hanger is. But, we believe that we're in this unique leadership position, and we're hoping that, it will create a rallying cry within the broader O&P community.
What do you see as, what's success look like? Because it's a pretty bold pledge. I saw the 2-page ad in some of the trade magazines. Is there anything that has come to fruition since this started?
For me, success is about making a step change, meaningful change in how we operate as a community. And then, the 5 elements that I just took you through, we're already seeing progress on literally all 5 of them. But to me, success is making sure that we do attract more people with diverse backgrounds into the O&P community. Success to me isn't about putting a number that we're going to increase the number of diverse candidates by 5% or 50%. I think maybe at some point we'll get there, but I certainly want to see more than just 2%. Success is about seeing a step change on that front. And then at the end of the day, it's about making sure that our patients are taken care of. And so if we're getting diverse patients coming into all of our clinics, whether it's Hanger or whether it's any company, we want to make sure that those patients feel at ease, feel comfortable, because they see other people just like them in these clinics. So to me, success is making a step change on that front.
There are studies that state that companies who have, a diverse workforce are exponentially more successful long-term. I thought, wow, that's really fascinating that, that having a diverse culture leads to long-term success. I think that's pretty fascinating.
I subscribe to that philosophy wholeheartedly. And if you look at our board of directors, I believe the tone starts at the top. And so if you look at our board of directors, today we have a board of 10 individuals. Out of those 10, 5 are diverse candidates. In the sense we have, 3 minorities and 2 women on a board of 10. And especially for a publicly traded company, that puts us in the upper echelon of diverse boards, and I'm really proud of it.
Very exciting to see. Any other closing remarks you'd like for the industry to know? We have quite an audience with the SPS customers as well as the supplier partners that we have. I do want to thank you for your time, but is there anything in closing that you'd like to say?
Well, first off, I want to thank you for doing this. I also want to thank Regina, all the SPS customers for providing the SPS, the business that they do. I think it's tremendous. It's a great relationship that SPS has with its customers. But look, in the spirit of this particular discussion, I just ask for those of you that are watching, I'm hoping that, what we've shared here is something that, can be, the energy can be harnessed. And if there's anything any one of us from Hanger or from SPS can do to help you with your diversity and inclusion initiatives, we'd be happy to help us. So, just contact Regina and we'd be happy to help, even if it's just, a conversation with some of our diversity leaders, we'd be happy to arrange for that.
Well, thank you again, Vinit. I hope that you will be on future SPS check-in videos with us, and I just really appreciate your time.
Thanks, and likewise. Thanks, Regina.
Thanks.